Hey everybody, this is Nate with another Backcountry beer review. Today I'm on a short but actually surprisingly cool hike to Aspen Peak, which is in the Pecos Wilderness by the Santa Fe ski area in northern New Mexico. I'm actually here with my son, so if you hear some baby noises in the background, he's along for the ride. I'm pretty proud of him. He was able to hike. He demanded he hike up the majority of the trail once we got to the little cutoff, and it's a beautiful fall day here. It's early October basically, and all I'd say is that as you could probably see, the aspens are changing color. They're a beautiful amber, yellow, orange color, and with the pine, I mean, it smells amazing. And sure enough, the peak's called Aspen Peak, and as you can see, it's completely covered in aspen trees. And what a perfect time to review the beer I'm reviewing today. The beer I'm reviewing today is by Cascade Brewing out of Portland, Oregon, and it's their Baked Apple Sour. Now when it comes to Cascade, I think they get pretty good distribution, so I'd imagine you might have heard of them. I have definitely had some of their beers before. I've actually been to, I don't know if it was their main brewery or just a tap room in Portland. I was actually there on a conference and happened to see a band I like, Grails, and before I went to the concert, I stopped by the tap room and had some beer, and hey, it's all good stuff. They're definitely known for their sour beers. And this is a barrel-aged sour ale with freshly pressed apples, cinnamon, and maple syrup. It's, to read the back of the can, it's a baked apple sour, features our sour wheat ale, aged in oak barrels and foeders up to 1 year, then infused with juice from freshly pressed local apples. Ceylon cinnamon and dark maple syrup. Sorry, that was all one sentence. With flavors of crisp apples, warm baking spice, and a light maple sweetness, this limited seasonal release offers a comforting, nostalgic sensory experience for the dark and chilly days of winter. So, I mean, it definitely looks seasonally appropriate, and I have to say, again, it is a beautiful fall day, perfect temperature. It's got to be in like the upper 60s. It's just amazing, even this high up. So let's go check out a really awesome viewpoint. We're on the actual summit right now. There's a pretty cool viewpoint that I really was not expecting to be here, and we'll go there and try this beer. So behind me is that beautiful view I was talking about. You'll have to allow a guest into the shot, I promise. He's not having any beer. He has his own little sippy cup full of juice. Anyway, time for a sip. Definitely the note that's coming through strongest is that apple note. I mean, it is very tart, it's very crisp, very refreshing, actually. I think I saw online some people comping this to apple cider, but saying, you know what, it's actually a nice blend between apple cider and beer. And I would kind of agree with that, because it is, you know, if I was blindfolded, I might think this was an apple cider, but I think that something was different. It's very tart. And I think a lot of that might be coming from the apple juice, just the natural tartness of apples. I also think, you know, obviously it's a sour beer, so obviously that's where tartness is coming from. When I try to think of comps for the acidity, you know, the one that my brain automatically goes to is apple cider vinegar, because obviously apple cider vinegar, apple flavor, tart. This isn't that astringent though. I'm not even hesitant to compare it to vinegar at all. Maybe like something mellow, like a champagne vinegar. I think maybe it's more a little bit like, for example, my wife made recently an apple bread pudding, baked apple bread pudding, and the recipe called for like a lemon glaze. That's kind of actually what this is really like, because it does retain a lot of residual sweetness, and I don't know if that's just the natural sweetness from the apple juice they add in, or if that's coming from, you know, they're talking about maple syrup on it. When it comes to the spices, I'm really not picking up much of the cinnamon. I think it does kind of come through in the first half of the tasting profile, just in a really mellow way, just kind of adds some flavor, adds some body to the beer. Later on in the flavor profile, that's where I'm getting more of kind of, I guess, like vanilla, maybe a little bit of maple syrup coming in there. It's tart all the way through for sure though. I'm getting a little bit of like butteriness maybe, that might also be the maple syrup. It's actually kind of like a, you know, maple syrup on your pancakes with a dab of butter. That's kind of like the profile I'm getting here, maybe even with some apple slices. To go back to the sweetness a little bit, it's actually very reminiscent to me of like white grape. It actually reminds me a lot of like when you were a kid and you'd have that sparkling grape juice because you were too young to drink at, you know, New Year's Eve. And anyway, hey, cheers. And have a backcountry beer for me, or maybe if you're a baby, have a backcountry milk. See you later.